If the first game breaks, we'll get you know let us put on more steam. Protect our kickers, our quarterback, our lead, our ball game. All obstacles, block, cut, sides, do the games after this win in. First year game, we're here for the first May. Can everybody give them 6 minutes?
Rookie time! You'll always be.
Unbelievable place. Great university. Knoxville's unbelievable city, great people. The passion for football is even greater than I thought it would be. And man, Neyland Stadium, I said it, a couple of years ago, and I still think it's the best football experience for a college football fan or a player in the country.
Like I said, we play with a chip on our shoulder at Tennessee. So, we get a lot of disrespect. So we want to make it clear that we're going to come out and dominate day in and day out.
It's, here it's Tennessee. So, we're going to get the best guys here. That's just every year. Every time we're out there, it's competition. Nobody has a spot. Nobody's comfortable. We're all working to get better.
Just look around. You got the mountains. You got the most beautiful city in the whole entire country. The university is absolutely, looks like it's out of a storybook. It's just beautiful. People are incredibly genuine and extremely nice. It's just a place that obviously I'd want my kids to go to school. And it sells itself. You don't have to sell anything about this place. You just got to get them here. The old field of dreams. Yeah. Build it and they will come. It's already built.
Good Monday morning and welcome to the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name is Boogie Bentley. You guys know the deal by now. Grab that cup of coffee, grab that Rockstar, grab that Monster energy drink, grab a cold beer. Drink one for Sam Pittman if that's what you choose to do on this Monday morning. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk a little Tennessee, Connecticut. We're going to talk about Missouri. We're going to talk about the rest of the way, boys. Look, man, it just hit me in the face this morning. It hit me in the face trying to come up with the name of this stupid stream, and I'm awful at YouTube, so I just called it the final countdown because we're on that final run. We got 3 more. We got 3 more games. We only get 12 of these things, man. We got to enjoy them. We got to soak it in. We got to drink it in. We got some big ones coming up. Missouri is a huge, huge game for this football team. What are we looking at? We looking at 10 wins? We looking at 9 wins? Some people think this team is going to go 8-4. We're going to talk about it all, but let's see who's hanging out in the chat. James Bowers was here bright and early, says, good morning, Boogie and Cainer. Huge week for the Vols. Need to come out firing and keep the momentum rolling. Papa J is here, says, let's go Big Orange. Trey is in the house. What's up, Trey? Biggest week of prep of the whole year, ladies and gentlemen. Ron the Don is here. I need to get Ron the Don to get in here and wake everybody up. It's good to see you, my friend. Isaac is here. Got a couple of super chats. Joey Carroll for 5 says, don't forget to drop off collection plate donation. That's also known as the door fee. Do Colts pass an offering plate? I'm asking for a friend, but thank you, Joey, for the super chat. Appreciate that, brother. Coach Jay has been a member for 13 months. It's amazing that you get a guy to work for you as hard as Coach Jay works for me, and he still pays me on top of it. But he says, never too early to wake up and grasp at straws. Interneting can be fun. That's in my notes for when Cainer jumps on here, is grasping at straws. Those of you grasping at straws that Joe Milton is not playing football. We're going to talk plenty about Joe. Scott Bennett, been a member for 14 months. Appreciate that, brother. Says, good morning, Vol fam. Smash the like button. I appreciate that, Scott. Thank you for the support. Got a couple of super chats from Donovan, but I don't know why I even format a show anymore. I don't know why I wake up and lay out a show, because Donovan formats it for me. We're going to let him run the show today. Got a couple of super chats just for Cainer, but let's get Eric on the show, and let's talk some Tennessee basketball, apparently.
You are Locked On Vols, your daily podcast on the Tennessee Volunteers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Good morning, Eric. I thought we were going to get on here and we were going to talk about Nico. We were going to talk about homecoming. We were going to talk about all things football. And Donovan drops a $10 super chat and says, I'm excited. ZZ is back tonight. Can't wait. Our depth is scary good. Vols will go 34-5. Final four. Kansas, Vols, Duke, Michigan State, National Championship. Vols over canvas. He's taking a natty already. Are you excited about basketball, or is it that time of year we're like, oh, my gosh, now my time is stretched even more thin?
Well, first and foremost, good morning. Secondly, Donovan, I hope you have another screen name, because I missed you on the Rocky Top Rewind last night. But you probably have another screen name, so I know you're there. But Donovan, always appreciate you, man. Good to hear from you. I was pushing Grant a little bit on the Rocky Top Rewind last night because he's such a cynic, and I'm like, hey, man, Elite Eight, Final Four, what's this team going to look like? He's like, man, I've watched too much Tennessee sports over the last decade plus. Let's see them play some games in November, and I think that's fair. But the depth is unreal. Zakai Ziegler getting back tonight, and we'll see how many minutes he plays and kind of how that evolution of him getting back into the flow of things goes. Again, it's November. These games, I mean, sure, Wisconsin's going to be a resume game, and they count in terms of win-loss, but you can be a completely different ball club in March than you are in November. So I'm excited to watch it. Grant and Rob take care of it primarily over on VolQuest. I'll talk basketball in segment number 3 from time to time on Locked On Vols, but I'm still football heavy for sure.
Man, it's funny because I always say I don't like basketball. I'm getting ready to get busy because we've got Upward basketball kicking off tonight and tomorrow night. It's that time of year where registration's closed, so all I do all day long is respond to parent emails. I missed registration. Can I come out? By all means, come on out. We'll get you signed up and ready to go. But for basketball, it's just so hard to get in. It's like baseball, and I love baseball, but it's like the regular season. So much of it doesn't matter. Donovan drops another $10. Eric. You know what? Just for
yeah, Boogie, get out of here, man. Just let me and Donovan go at it.
I'll just give you the keys to the castle, and I'll just jump into the chat and watch. He says, I expect Brady Cook to throw for 400 yards because he is good, and Haddon is out. Front four has to get pressure. Drinkwitz has no answer for Heupel offense. In the end, Vols 52-45. That's something I was going to talk about on the back end, but because you dropped the super chat, Tennessee gave up 221 passing yards to Connecticut, but you got to look at what they threw the football 42 times, and they could not run the ball. They have 35 yards on the ground. They averaged like less than 2 yards per carry. We had this conversation last Monday against Kentucky. They threw the ball all over the field, but the game plan was to stop Ray Davis, and that's what they did. And how concerned are you about this Tennessee pass defense going up against Brady Cook?
Well, first and foremost, what if I told you, I'm going to open up one of my shows this week, so the crossovers here, also listen on Locked On Vols, just act surprised when I say it. What if I told you that Tennessee defeated Missouri 128-48? What if I told you in 2 games combined, Tennessee racked up 1,407 yards of total offense and 722 rushing yards? That is the last 2 years. That is the first 2 years Josh Heupel against Eli Drinkwitz in the SEC. That's what Tennessee's done to Missouri. Now, Missouri's a good ball club. That's not going to happen this year. I'm not saying Tennessee can't win. I'm not saying Tennessee can't have a good day offensively. But just going up there and assuming you're going to get in the 60s, I don't think you can do that. Missouri's defense is middle of the road, pretty solid. Missouri's offense, top 5 in almost every category. The pass defense is going to be a big question mark. You've got to get after him. You've got to put pressure on him from the interior. You have got to force him into some premature decisions and let those back-end guys go and make some plays. If not, it will be a long day because Brady Cook is good. He's a top 5 quarterback in this league easily. And, of course, we can talk about it more in a moment. But it's going to be a challenge for sure. It's going to be a dogfight. It's going to be a really, really good game, Tennessee, Missouri.
Rocky Top Tom for 10 says, Locked On Talkin VAWLS, massive game this week, type of game which determines the future of Josh Heupel era. 8-2 momentum, 7-3, looking at 7-4. Thoughts on Missouri versus our run game? Well, I think Cain just kind of spoiled that for you right there. I like the matchup, man. I like the matchup, and I know everybody is high on Missouri right now because they just went toe-to-toe with Georgia. They did. But what happened when push came to shove, when you needed your quarterback to go out and make a play, he made a boneheaded play, and he cost you the football game. I like the matchup. It concerns me because it's on the road. It does concern me because it's on the road. It's going to be a good football game, man. These are the type of football games I like to cover. Last week was so boring on the channel talking about Connecticut. Who cares about Connecticut? This type of game is what gets me excited. But let's tie a big bow on Connecticut. Homecoming win 59-3. Just dominant performance. They went out. They took care of business early. Exactly. You couldn't have drawn it up any better. And then you come out at halftime. I'm sitting there laughing. I'm like, come on, I want to see Nico. I'm sitting in this stadium to see Nico. Show me some Nico. And then I thought back to our conversation, everybody's conversation of that mandatory drive. And then here comes the defense, pick 6. Here comes the defense, pick 6. And I said, they're not going to let Joe get his mandatory drive. It's time to see Nico. But overall thoughts on what Tennessee did against Connecticut on Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, it was a beatdown. Tennessee did exactly what it was supposed to do. It got in, it handled business, it got out, relatively injury-free to my knowledge at this point. UConn's not a good football game. I mean, I literally wrote in the picks on Friday at VolQuest.com. I said, I'm thinking about Georgia, Missouri. I'm thinking about Tennessee, Missouri. I'm thinking about Tennessee, Georgia. I'm not thinking about Tennessee, UConn. I can do that because I'm not a player or a coach. But, I mean, I was looking ahead. I talked basketball in segment number 3 of Friday's show because it's Tennessee, UConn. I mean, it just was what it was. I mean, Tennessee, impressive way they handled their maturity, getting in there and getting off to good starts and making some adjustments and making things difficult for UConn. They had 200 yards of total offense in the first half. UConn had 56 yards of total offense in the second half. Anytime you get 3 defensive touchdowns, I don't care who you're playing, that is incredible program record. Jalen Wright literally might average 10 yards a carry this year. Just incredible what he's doing. I thought Joe, again, played well. It's 3 straight games where Joe Milton's playing some good football. I thought Nico really played well. I mean, that pocket, I know you probably want to ask me individually, but that pocket presence, goodness gracious, it's going to be something to behold. So, anyway, long story short, Tennessee got in, got out. The pass defense caused you to pull your hair out in the first quarter, but at the end of the day, 59-3, I mean, it was a butt-whooping on all accounts.
You got to see a lot of young guys, man. When you go through and you look at the PFF grades and just how many guys. I mean, the tight end position. We talk about how thin the tight end position is. They played 6 guys at tight end. You saw a lot of Ricky Gibson. Of course, Nico, man. It kind of surprised me how many freaking snaps Jordan Thomas played. He played a lot of football on Saturday. Who stood out to you from those young guys? Offensive line, defensively. I mean, a lot of guys to look at. Who stood out to you?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked because whenever I was rewatching the game, I made kind of some notes over here for myself. I didn't put them in my column or anything. Guys who stood out to me, guys who flashed, maybe not had the stats or whatever, but guys that just kind of jumped out on tape. Thought Aaron Beasley jumped out on tape. Thought Elijah Simmons, boy, he was everywhere. He looked he looks awesome in that number 10 jersey, but he had a batted pass down. He literally hit stick somebody past the first down marker, which wasn't good for Tennessee, but it was cool to see. Thought Elijah Simmons was everywhere. I thought Karad Garland played maybe one of his better games. He played a ton of snaps. I thought the cornerbacks, Ricky Gibson, you mentioned, Gabe Judy-Lally, and Danico Slaughter, I thought they tackled really well. I was talking about it with Brent Hubbs. Brent Hubbs says, well, it's because UConn has no wiggle. And that is true. They have none, no wiggle. But I thought the cornerbacks tackle well. Thought Jordan Thomas, you mentioned him as well, and I have him written down. Maybe Tamarian McDonald was a bit beat up or something because he was in there early. He was in there with the starting safeties and some of the starters at cornerback. But I thought he played well. I had a couple of third down stops. Overall, I like the way Tennessee incorporated. We talked about it last week. I like the way Tennessee incorporated its young guys in there. They do it on defense all the time. David Hobbs getting in there next to Amari Thomas. Arian Carter, T-Lander, whoever getting in there next to Beasley or Herring. Ricky Gibson getting in there next to those starting safeties. You saw it on offense. Nico's first drive, you had Spraggins, Mays out there. You had Dane Davis, who pretty much is a de facto starter because he's played so much. You had Crawford, who starts 20-plus games here at Tennessee. That was your offensive line for Nico. I thought that was really, really good to see as well. So good job on Tennessee's part for doing that. But a lot of those guys on defense kind of stood out to me. And, of course, Nico. I thought I was really impressed with what I saw from him.
I think, man, you look at next year, right? What's next year's football team going to look like? And you do that when you get so many young guys on the field. I thought, we talked about Jordan Thomas. I thought Andre Turrentine played good football. And those are two good young safeties. And Jalen McCullough, feels like he's been at Tennessee for 72 years. And how long have we been saying SEC speed? He doesn't have SEC speed. We're too slow at safety. But they trust him, and they trot him out there. But I think seeing a couple of young guys, Andre Turrentine, Jordan Thomas, excites me about the future. Ed is for UT, drops a $10 super chat. We appreciate that, brother. Says, didn't UT get accused of running up the score? 67 points, and this year will be paying for doing that. I'm assuming he's talking about Missouri.
My whole thing on running up the score, whatever. Now, 2 years ago when it was like 60-20 and you were at Missouri and you were running zone option with Hendon Hooker in the fourth quarter, I hear you there. It took them a while to get the reserves in back in 2021, but, I mean, Boogie, correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, 2022, I mean, they played Joe and Keaton and all those guys. Keaton when he was back up. They played that second unit a lot on offense. And my thing about that is, and Jim Mora looked like he was, perplexed about this situation as well yesterday or 2 days ago. When the backups go in, they deserve the opportunity to run the freaking offense. They're out there every single day. You don't have Joe Milton out there. You don't have Jalen Wright out there. You don't have Cooper Mays out there. Go out there and run the offense. You earn that right. If you're going to go out there and run the offense, score a touchdown, I mean, sack up, stop them if you're a defense. I mean, don't forbid an opportunity for some reserves to go out there and run the offense. That's the way I look at it. And also at the very end of the game, I know we're talking UConn here, with Navy Schuler, and then they just let the clock run out in the red zone. If you were really running up the score, then they would have punched it in. I've seen a lot of Jim Moore, quotes and stuff about how Tennessee didn't play with class. I mean, I don't quite understand that, bud, whenever your team was on the other side of the 50 during pregame warm-ups as well. So Tennessee, Missouri, I remember Joe Milton and that second-team offense getting a lot of run and scoring some touchdowns last year. And plus, it was late in the year. You wanted to get Hendon out, early, so he didn't have an injury. But second-teamers can go out there and run the offense. That's how I've always viewed it.
Yeah, I went back to look just out of curiosity. The score, I mean, 66-24 was the final last year, and it was 52-24 when they put Joe in. And he threw a deep ball, deep ball to Ramel Keaton for 46 yards for a touchdown. So they let him run the offense. He threw a deep ball to Ramel Keaton. The very next drive, he threw a deep ball, to Squirrel White down to the 1-yard line, and then Tennessee punched it in. So they added 14 points. But again,
I remember now. I remember. So that when they punched it in, that was at the very end.
Right.
And I remember the conversation. Some people were like, well, I have no issue with Joe Milton throwing a bomb to Squirrel White, but what I have issue with is them punching it in from the 1-yard line. It's like, if you have issue, you should have issue with that whole drive. I remember now. This is coming back to me. Yeah, okay.
And the thing is, like the comment there, paying for doing it, good. Give us some payback. See what happens. Guess what? It's Tennessee's job to go out there and stop it. It's Missouri's job to stop Tennessee from punching one in late. Like, just go out and play football. Talking about Nico, man, I wanted to kind of transition there and talk about, like, Gaston Moore, right? Like Gaston Moore works his tail off in practice. So getting to see him go out there and play a little football, let him throw the football. Like Gaston Moore works so hard, and in his mind, it's like, I'm not going to get a play. Like, behind Joe and Nico, I'm not going to get an opportunity to play in Neyland Stadium. He gets that opportunity. You want him to just go out there and hand it off, or do you want him to throw the football? Same type of conversation. But let's see. Papa J for 5 says Joe is starting to show what we were all hoping and wanting. Keep it up, and we run like we have been. Going to be hard to beat. We'll talk about Nico if you want to, but let's talk about Joe Milton, because Joe has been playing good football. And Coach Jay in the chat is so funny because he is a guy, and it's a bit. Spoiler alert to everybody watching. It's a bit. Coach Jay's leaning into it. He is grasping at straws, talking about Joe Milton struggling. It's hard to say Joe Milton struggling when he's had 3 incompletions each game the last 2 games. He's playing good football. He's getting better. If Joe plays like he's played the last few weeks, how do you like these last 3 games, Missouri, Georgia, and Vanderbilt?
Yeah, I mean, Tennessee's going to have an opportunity regardless because they've shown the ability this year, even in a game against UConn where you had 1 sack, and technically that 1 sack was because of a penalty, you had 13 TFLs. Tennessee's shown the ability to play on the other sideline of scrimmage. So because you've shown the ability to do that, knowing that Tennessee can run the football the way he can and shut down the run, even if Joe Milton was playing like early season Joe Milton, you're going to have a chance to win these games no matter what. Now you got a quarterback that's 6'5", 240 pounds, Cam Newton, and he's playing super accurate. I sounded like I was from Jeff County there. He's throwing the football super accurate. He's playing efficient football, and he's running the football as well, and that's ingrained in a part of the offense now. I mean, heck yeah, man. Joe Milton is playing his best football right now, and this is great to see. If Joe Milton playing the way he is right now, you have an opportunity to beat Georgia at home. You have an opportunity to beat Missouri on the road, for sure. So I hope he keeps it up because it's fun to watch this team. The receivers are getting better. The offensive line that was very shaky, very suspect the first couple of weeks without Cooper Mays, really coming into its own. We know about the run game. This offense has gotten better as the year's gone on, and it's finally fun to watch with a quarterback that is kind of hitting on all cylinders right now. So he will need to this week, and of course against Georgia, because these two games are going to be dogfights.
I like seeing them attack the middle of the field. I think that's where Joe's best is across the middle. And the throw to Squirrel White, just absolutely on the money. And then, he's gone. Nobody's touching him. I like seeing them use McAllen Castles in the middle of the field, right? The touchdown from Nico. Walk me through that play call. We were having this conversation. Everybody has a different opinion of what happened on that play. I've heard that Nico improvised it, that it was all Nico's idea to fake the quarterback draw. Then it's why he was confused when he looked to the left. I mean, he took the snap, he looked to the left like he was going through a read, then he turned, faked the quarterback draw, hit McAllen Castles. No matter what the situation was, it was a beautiful play and it was great execution.
Yeah, I mean, I could ask for clarification on this, but it was a straight play action, fake quarterback draw,
That's
slow developing, but wide open. When you fake that quarterback draw, like those, as a former defender, man, your eyes you're just like, all right, let's go get it. And so that draws those backers in, and you just right over the top. He threw it on a road to McAllen Castles into the end zone. It was fun to see. But I mean, what I was impressed with the most about Nico, man, again, his pocket presence is incredible. He sits back there, he steps up, sidesteps, he throws well on the run. Joe Milton's throwing better on the run, but I mean, there was, early in the season he couldn't complete a pass on the run. I think that's going to be a strength of Nico, and boy, you're going to need it depending on what that offensive line looks like next year. But it's just so impressive to see a guy that we barely seen play this year, but just have awareness and presence, and you can just tell that he's been coached really, really well coming into Tennessee. So thought he was really good. Thought he showed a great awareness to run for the first down. Great awareness to fall down. This fall down was hilarious. It was not a slide. It was not a graceful land. He just kind of plopped down. Thought that was funny, but he showed a lot in 2 series. And after those 2 series, man, I'm sitting there and I'm like, at the time it's 56-3 or whatever. I'm like, are you kidding me? You're gonna take Nico out? Like,
no.
What in the world? I even tweeted. I've had every person and their mother, reply back to me because I said make it make sense. They're like, oh, well, no injuries, every other guys could deserve to play too. Like, I get it. Gassimore deserves to play. Navy Shooter deserves to play. It's homecoming. Those guys work hard. I'll recognize that. I was one of those guys at points in times in my college career. Homecoming game, get in there when it's 50-0, go make a tackle. I get it. But it doesn't sit well with me that in a 59-3 blowout, Nico got 2 series. But it was good 2 series. He looked good, and everybody else got into.
Everybody talking about his elusiveness and pocket awareness. Man, it's like just that internal time, right? That's stealing Coach Jay's words. I do it all the time. That internal clock where he's in the pocket, and then he just moves. The way he moves around the pocket. And I'm not comparing him to Josh Dobbs and Hendon Hooker, but I'm comparing him to Josh Dobbs and Hendon Hooker. The way he gets out and goes. And it's such an advantage. I talked about it last night on our fan call-in show, what you just said. What does that offensive line look like? That's a big concern for us. What do they look like next year for Nico? He's going to be able to mask that a little bit. The same way that Hendon Hooker did, the same way that Josh Dobbs did.
Yeah.
And I get it, man. Somebody – because, being in the stadium, taking my daughter, so much fun. And, I was explaining to her, I'm like, look, this guy could be a Tennessee legend. You just saw history. You saw his first touchdown pass in his college career. That's history. We could look back on this 30 years from now and be like, man, we were there. We saw that in person. And somebody's like, the guy called me little bruh. He called me little bruh. I'm like, dude, what are you, 12? What are you, 12? Little bruh. Little bruh just said history. We're playing Connecticut. That's still damn history, man. That is history. Seeing
Touchdown
Nico
still
throw
counts.
that first touchdown. Yeah. I'm tired. Little bruh. What is wrong with people? What is wrong with people? All right. See, I got distracted. Where do we go from here? We're looking at. Did you watch? If you had a chance, I know you're at the stadium, and then you got to come home and do the rewatch. Did you watch or see much of the Georgia Missouri game?
A little bit. It was on in the background. I watched I watched the last couple of minutes. I watched almost every snap of LSU, Alabama, if that counts. But I know we're talking Georgia, Missouri. Not as much as I wanted to, but I watched a little bit of it.
I mean, it's just you're previewing your next two opponents, right? And I look at Missouri, and man, just going toe to toe with Georgia, right? And that's why a lot of people are hyped up. A lot of people talking about them. I've been questioning them up to this point, and I'm still kind of questioning them, even though they went toe to toe with Georgia. I think both teams are beatable. I think both teams are beatable, but what do you see? What do you like? What concerns you about the matchup with Missouri? And I know we talked about hanging 60 on them the last 2 years. I don't see that happening this year. Look at the man's notes; he's ready to go.
Let's check the chart. Just kidding. Just kidding.
What do you like about the matchup? What concerns you about the matchup?
I like Tennessee's ability to run the football against Missouri. Missouri, overall, you look at the numbers; they're giving up 114 yards on the ground. I think that's like 5th in the league. Gave up 131 to Georgia, expected. Gave up 179 to Kentucky. Well, you got Ray Davis. Gave up 274 rushing yards against LSU earlier this year. Of course, you had a very mobile quarterback in Jaden Daniels who rushed for like 130. Gave up 138 rushing yards to Kansas State. So a lot of these teams that they play with a pretty decent pulse. South Carolina's not a good running team, but everybody else on that schedule who's pretty decent in football, they've allowed a run game to go, and so. I like Tennessee's ability to run the football for sure. That's what I like about Tennessee in this matchup. What I don't like about Tennessee in this matchup, I mean, again, we talked about it earlier, man, it's Brady Cook. Brady Cook is top 5 in every statistical category in the league. And it's not just Brady Cook as well. Cody Schrader, he is leading the SEC in rushing, literally.
What a story. What a story that is, too.
There's a lot of interesting little storylines in this game. Tennessee, number 1 in the SEC in rushing the football, number 1 in defending the rush. Cody Schrader, 1st in the league in rushing the football. Brady Cook, we talked about, he's 4th in passing. He's completing passes at almost 68%, which is really good. He's the 2nd leading rusher. He's going to get his on the ground as well, that being Brady Cook. Luther Burden, who missed a little bit of time, came back in last game. He'll be ready. He'll be playing this football game. Former 5-star, one of the top players in the country. He's up there. There's a lot of intriguing storylines in this one, but that offense is really, really good. And though Tennessee just ran country miles all over Missouri the past 2 years, I don't think it's going to be as easy to run the football, but I still think Tennessee will run the football. Now, will it be for 300 yards? I'll say no. We'll see if it happens, but I think Tennessee's going to be able to run the football in Missouri.
Just got to hit that magic number of 175, right? I don't know that we need 300. You need Joe to play like he's played the last couple of weeks. I think if Joe plays like that, I think Tennessee is going to go handle business against Missouri. Do you know much about Cody Schrader? Like they were talking about him during the Missouri-Georgia game. 4 years as a Division II running back at Truman State. I don't know if it was a booster. Somebody was at a cocktail party with Eli Drinkowitz and said, hey, I know this kid, Cody Schrader. He's a really good player. Will you give him an opportunity to come on and walk on at Missouri? He said, yeah, why not? We'll give him a chance. Comes out, walks on, leads the team in rushing yards a year ago. Now he's leading the league, leading the SEC in rushing yards after playing 4 years at Truman State as a Division II
I hate
running back.
the COVID year. So he must have redshirted at Truman State, then picked up the COVID year because I remember the name being here last year. But hey, Mario Anderson, the Newberry, whatever the heck they are, Newberry Wolves, I think I should know that. I played against them 4 years. And then now you got Cody Schrader of D2. Hey, look, little D2 football helmet behind me. Love those stories. Did not know that about Cody Schrader. That is a heck of a nugget. That's a heck of a story. But I mean, leading the SEC in rushing, and nobody's talking. Everybody's talking about Ray Davis. Nobody's talking about Cody Schrader.
Yeah. Great story. Cool story. You like to hear stories like that, but hopefully he rushes for negative 12 yards on Saturday. Brady Cook scares me with his feet. I know you're talking about his completion percentage, what he can do throwing the football. I think you can force him into mistakes, and that's what we saw in the Georgia game. But can Tennessee's defensive line get home? They have struggled. What has changed on this defensive line the last few weeks not being able to get home?
Hubs was talking about this on the Rocky Top Rewind last night, and I when you sit down and think about it, I agree. It's the interior pressure. I mean, you're still getting guys coming off the edge, and James Pierce and Joshua Josephs has stepped up, I feel like. Tyler Barron is still giving pressure off the edge. But, Omari Thomas didn't play last game. I get that. But, Omar Norman-Lott's been in and out of the lineup. Bryson Easton, who I think's flashed the last couple of weeks. You're just not getting that push from the interior, in my opinion. And that needs to change. The TFL numbers are still pretty good. Tennessee's got a ton of TFLs this year. I think 75 already on the year, which is solid. And I think that tells more of the story than just one sack against UConn. But, yeah, you need to get home. You need to force third and long. You need to sack them on third down and force a punt. I mean, especially in games like this. So that interior, Amari Thomas, who will be back, and Bryson Eason and Omar Norman-Lott, those guys really need to have a good game and also clean things up. What I like about the Rabbits package is you got James Pierce flying off the edge, Joshua Joseph, Roman Harrison, and then you slide Tyler Barron inside, and he's just sitting there ready to clean up. I mean, that's how he got like 3 of his sacks already this year. And you need to be able to catch, and you know, when he steps up in the pocket, you need to be able to take him down. So we'll see what happens. But Brady Cook last year had a big day on the ground against Tennessee. That does not need to happen this year for sure.
Man, you're talking about numbers and TFLs and Tennessee, what they're doing against the run, first in the SEC in rushing defense. But in the grand scheme of things, the only thing that matters is points per game. And here we sit in year 3 under Tim Banks, and it's comical. It's comical. Like we go back to the Texas A&M game, and I think we talked about this last week. Everybody's praising Tim Banks. Oh, this defense, man, it's a different football team. We won on defense and special teams. Then after a win against Kentucky, they're ready to fire him. And then when you look back, I mean, we got 3 games left. Like, you can't talk about schedule. You're not playing anybody. You can't make excuses when you got 3 games left to play. One of them is Vanderbilt, and you're giving up 18 points a game in year 3. How much better can this defense get as you continue to recruit? How long will Tim Banks be at Tennessee before somebody comes calling him as a head coach?
Yeah, I think he'll be selective. I think not Joey Halsey, I think Alex Golish last year wanted to be a head coach so bad, and I think he was just ready to go, wherever was given him an opportunity. I mean, I don't think if it was a poor opportunity he would have jumped, but he thought that was a good opportunity, so he left. I think Tim Banks will be a little bit more selective. He will be a head coach at some point. I think he's going to wait for his right opportunity. Does that come along this year? Does that come along in a couple years? I don't know. But I think in terms of staff continuity, I mean, on the offensive end for sure. I mean, unless Jerry Mack gets an opportunity to maybe be a coordinator somewhere, maybe an NFL chance, I mean, that offensive side of the football is going to stay together. Defensive side of the football, Willie Martinez, last year of his contract, it kind of goes along with what you're saying. With the way defense has stepped up and Tennessee's pass game has been pretty decent at times, we'll see if he gets extended. But we'll see about Tim Banks. It's a 3-point improvement from last year to this year, and that was a 7-point improvement from 2021 to 2022. Continues to improve, and again, it's all tied in. I say it all the time. Your defensive line is good. It makes your back end even better. You're not gonna shut down every pass. You're gonna give up third downs. Your quarterback's gonna throw, and I mean, sometimes they scheme it up. They got good players too. Plus, they know the play, and as a defense, you don't know the play. That's one thing that I think we always overlook. It's so simple. But just remember, they know the play, so sometimes they make plays, right? Yeah. But, I mean, Tennessee defense continues just to get better. And, again, you're going to have a lot of moments this week. I'll tell you right now, you're going to have a lot of moments where you're sitting there and you're cussing Tim Banks, and you're like, what are you doing? 3rd and 15, he rushes for a first down or throws for a first down or whatever. That's just how this game is going to go. It's going to be a lot of points. It's not going to be a great defensive effort. Knock on wood, we'll see what happens. But I think both teams are going to score a lot of points, and I think both teams are going to need to score some points in order to win this football game.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're going to be screaming at the TV a lot on Saturday. I just hope we come out on the right side when it's all said and done. Man, watching that Georgia game the whole time I'm going, man, Brady Cook is going to run all over us. But anyways, it's always a good time talking ball. Cainer, we will catch up later in the week. Go give him a sub. You guys already are. Everybody watching right now is already subscribed to Locked On Vols. Are you checking out what Cainer's doing over at VolQuest? Always dropping good stuff, man. One of my favorite things is the information you put out about the upcoming opponent. When do you drop that? You drop that?
That'll be tonight at about 5:30.
Okay. Yeah, it's always good stuff, man. Always kind of get you geared up for the week. But anything else going on over there at VolQuest or Locked On Vols, what do you want to plug?
Now, just continual conversation over at VolQuest.com. Huge game coming up this weekend, Tennessee, Missouri. So hang out with us over there at VolQuest.com. And we are close to 10,000 subscribers. Like you said, everybody watching right now is already subscribed. Can't thank you guys enough. But if you got a friend that's a Tennessee fan, they're not subscribed to the channel, help us out. Help a brother out. Let's get to 10,000 subs here in the next couple weeks. That's at Locked On Vols.
Guys, jump over there and make it happen. Cainer, it's always a good time. We'll catch up later in the week, buddy.
Sounds good, Boogie. Thank you.
All right, boys, we will keep the show rolling. Nelson's in the house. Says, good morning, everyone. Nelson, what do you have against Cainer? You show up after Cainer goes off the show. You show up and say good morning. Were you waiting? Were you just waiting on Cainer to leave? Is that what you were doing, Nelson? Dylan is here. What's up, Dylan? Guys, come on in. If you're late to the show, still smash the thumbs up. We would appreciate it. We're going to keep this thing rolling. We're going to see what Josh Heupel had to say post-game. You guys also know I will see what you guys have to say. You guys drive the show. You guys became the co-host on Monday mornings, and I think it's been good, man. I think as somebody said, man, this feels like a Tuesday night. It's just one-on-one with Boogie. You guys support this thing. We appreciate it. I like you guys being the wingman. Rolly Season drops a $2 super chat, says Nico makes cuts just like Hendon. Could be exciting. I agree, man. Like, that's what I was getting flashes of, the way he was moving around the pocket, the way he was escaping pressure, making plays, but still keeping his eyes downfield. That was a big thing for me. He wasn't just getting out of the pocket and running. He was getting out of the pocket and looking to make plays down the field. That's what excites me. And it does remind me of Hendo Cinco. It does remind me of Josh Dobbs. That's what he looks like back there making plays with his legs. But he's also, guess what, got really, really good arm talent. So it's more than just a scrambling, running quarterback. Guys, if you haven't smashed the thumbs up, do me a favor, smash it real quick just below the video. It helps the channel. I would appreciate it. Also, you can go check out the merch. If you don't have Talkin VAWLS merch, go check it out at bonfire.com/store/Talkin VAWLS. The link to that is in the description below. If you don't want to do that, you can also support the channel by becoming a member. If you don't have a power T beside your name in that chat, what are you doing with your life? Hit that join button down below. It's only $1. We got 25,000 subscribers around here. If you got $1 in your pocket, hit that join button. We would greatly appreciate it. You guys pay the light bill around here. You guys keep the train rolling. You give me the opportunity to do this thing full time, and I'm grateful for that. Let's see. That's all the merchandise. You guys can go check it out. The links are all in the description. Let's get Josh Heupel up here on the screen and see what he had to say immediately following the game. As always, you guys want to change gears, change topics, change the discussion. You guys know what to do. Let's take a listen to Josh Heupel after the homecoming win.
Appreciate the crowd, awesome atmosphere, homecoming, all the alumni that came back, former players, really the last 48 hours in our building. It's been awesome to see a lot of people back, so appreciate everybody coming. UConn was always special to Coach Summit, playing in that type of game, and so unique opportunity to kind of honor her a little bit with Alzheimer's awareness. And so I appreciate everybody supporting that cause. With that, I'll open it up.
David, then Rob.
Josh, you had said Thursday that you hadn't played your best 4 quarters of football yet. Do you feel like today was your best 4 quarters, or is it tough to gauge?
Don't yet, but there's a lot of really good things too. I mean, you start off with 3 defensive touchdowns. Great performance up front, on the back end, in that middle part of the football game. I wouldn't say it's our best performance that we're capable of. Got way too many penalties. There's things in efficiency offensively and defensively, in particular in pass defense, that we can be a lot better at than we were at times today. All in all, great win, good performance, but our best is still out there.
That's something that I meant to bring up last night, meant to talk about, is penalties, man. And I know Josh Heupel, his teams are always heavily penalized. But they had 11 penalties for 90 yards against Connecticut. Man, that's the type of stuff, particularly, the pre-snap penalties. You do that stuff against Missouri on the road, now you're looking at 1st and 15 or holding calls 1st and 20. That's the type of stuff that can get you beat in the SEC. Missouri's pretty heavily penalized too. I can't remember exactly where they're at. I had it here somewhere. Let's see here. Tennessee penalized 8.44 times per game. That's 126th in the country. Missouri, 7.22 times per game. That's 114th in the country. One little thing that I do like, and of course, turnover margin. When you have 2 pick sixes and you have a scoop and score, that kind of starts to flip the things in the turnover margin. But Tennessee's +5 in the turnover margin. That's top 25. And then Missouri is just +1. So can Tennessee capitalize on mistakes? And again, Brady Cook against Georgia had everything to play for. Game on the line, man. You got a chance to go win that football game. It's a 3-point game in the 4th quarter. It's a 3-point game. They were toe-to-toe with the Georgia Bulldogs. Brady Cook has the football down 6, about 8 minutes to play, and just makes a stupid bonehead decision. Throws it right to the Georgia defensive lineman, and he cost his football team the game. Is that something that Tennessee can take advantage of on Saturday? Can the defense force some turnovers? You know, they gave up a lot of yards through the air to Kentucky, a lot of yards through the air to Connecticut. But again, you got to look at it. Connecticut threw the football 42 times. 42 times. Of course they gave up some yardage. They threw the ball 42 times. They ran it 28 and averaged 1.3 yards per carry. You force them to be one-dimensional. And then can you force some mistakes from Brady Cook? Gosh, it's such a big game coming up on Saturday. It's just Monday. It is just Monday. It's going to be a long week looking at it because I think Saturday is going to define this season. Do you go 8-4? I think 8-4 is a letdown, boys. I think 8-4 is a letdown. I think you got to go win this football game on Saturday and make 9-3 the floor. 9-3 needs to be the floor. 9-3 to me is moving in the right direction. God, it feels like this is a big one. How do you guys feel in the chat? Like, do you if Tennessee loses this game on Saturday and then they lose to Georgia and then they beat Vanderbilt, they go win a bowl game, they end up 8-4, 9-4 after the bowl win. Like, I'm not out on Josh Heupel. I'm not sitting here ready to fire Josh Heupel. I'm not ready to fire anybody. It just seems like a letdown. And I think it all comes down to Saturday. They always say the biggest game of the season is the next one. That's the way it feels going into Saturday.
This was the day of the early kickoff, and not a name opponent. It kind of had to breathe your own juice. Did you think your guys were businesslike in the way they came out and?
I thought during the performance, yes. I challenged them in the last 48 hours to make sure that we had that type of mindset. Challenged them early this morning too. This game will. Will kick you in the butt real quick if you're not on competitive edge. And, I thought for the most part we were today.
Charles says, why are we saying 9-3? We can beat Georgia. I said floor. The floor is 9-3. The floor is 9-3. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I saw ESPN FPI actually bumped up. It was like 55%. Earlier last week. Now it's up. It's got Tennessee at 60.6%. How much faith do you put in that ESPN FPI? I like it. I think it's pretty accurate. I think it takes a lot into account. I think it's pretty close to being accurate. Look, you still got to go play the football game. You still got to go take care of business. Tennessee's going on the road, and they're a 2-point favorite. That tells you all you need to know. Tennessee is the better football team. How much does the road environment play into it? Look, I've said for weeks that I like the matchup against Missouri. I've been railed for saying that I like the matchup against Missouri. You don't have to point out to me that ESPN FPI has Tennessee as a favorite because I'm right there with them. I like this matchup. A lot of people scared. JJ Banks says it's sad that Missouri is going to define our season. How did they get so good so fast? Are they good? Are they good? They're 7-2, and this is what I talked about. Going into that Georgia game. Now, granted, they went toe-to-toe with Georgia. I'll give them that. I thought Georgia was going to blow the doors off of them. Who have they really beat? South Dakota, MTSU, Memphis, Vanderbilt. Who have they beat? They beat Kentucky and South Carolina. That's it. They beat a top 15 Kansas State who also has not played anybody. Is Missouri that good? Obviously play Tennessee on Saturday, then they play Florida, then they go on the road to play Arkansas. I guess if Missouri wins out, that's a pretty dang good season. 10-2 for Missouri. We make fun of Eli Drinkwitz. Is Missouri that good? Are they that good? Do you guys think they're good? I don't think Kansas State's good. You can claim a top 15 win. Who has Kansas State played? Like, who have they played? Southeast Missouri? They beat Coach Golish, the Fighting Golishes. Texas Tech, Houston. Played Texas close. I'm with you, Parker. I'm worried about Brady Cook's legs. Look, Brady Cook, that Missouri offense is going to score some points. I think it's going to come down to Tennessee running the football and Joe Milton. Is Joe Milton going to be the guy we've had the last couple of weeks? Or does the inconsistent, inaccurate Joe Milton show back up? If so, we're in trouble. Tennessee's in trouble. They need Joe Milton to be good on Saturday. Kobe cough.
What is allowing Joe to be so efficient right now?
Quarterback position, you got to be good enough to overcome some deficiencies at times with the guys around you, but at the same time, you got to have 10 other guys playing it really well around you. It's a unique combination of all of those things, and he's had his eyes on the right spot. He's been efficient with the football. He's been accurate with the football, been timely. He's controlled, our protections, our run game, all of that extremely well. You put all of that together, and that's why he's playing as efficiently as he was. We created big plays in the middle of the football field today. Great to see some explosives in the pass game. Jay Wright starts it out with a big-time run, too. So, all in all, a lot of really positive.
Beasting says, who have we beaten, though? Do you see anybody in the media talking about how great Tennessee is? Do you see anybody in the media thinking that Tennessee's going to go beat Georgia? No. No, there's no respect for Tennessee. So why would there be respect for Missouri? What's the difference? What's the difference? Tennessee's ranked 17th. Nobody's out there talking about how great they are. They beat the same two teams that Missouri beat, Kentucky and South Carolina. That's it. Beat Texas A&M, but I don't think Texas A&M is anything special. Lazy Llamas for $10. Appreciate that, brother. Nothing to say, just a tip in the old tip jar. Follows it up, says Missouri is better than last year, but we're better and should beat them. Plus, Coach Josh Heupel is in Drinkwitz's head. What is it about that? Is it that head-to-head coaching? Heupel just owns Eli Drinkwitz? Jacob Pearson, been a member for 3 months. Appreciate that, brother. If you're not a member, what are you doing with your life? If you don't have a power T beside your name, what are you doing? Hit that join button. Hit that join button down below. You can get that power T for just $1. Access to fan call-in shows. All kinds of fun perks and benefits. I love Ron the Dawn. Now, because he's been on the show so much, I can read this in his voice. Oh, I love you, Ron. Ron adds so much to this channel. So much fun.
Positive things. The guys around Joe continue to grow as well, out on the perimeter in particular.
I know Dante Thornton didn't have a huge game on Saturday, but I like seeing him continue to make plays. He had two catches for 26 yards, but I like seeing he is getting the football, and he is getting the football in space, and I think we are seeing what he can do with the football in his hands. He's continuing to get better. Squirrel White, man, Squirrel White is who he is. Squirrel White is that dude. Squirrel White is legit. Ramel Keaton starting to catch the football, starting to make plays. Everybody's coming along at the same time. It's kind of funny. It just continues the argument. The argument that it was Joe's fault. No, it's not Joe's fault. It's the wide receiver's fault. Well, guess what? Both of them are playing better. Joe's playing better. The wide receivers are playing better, and we are seeing what this offense can be when they are clicking. When they are in, somebody said the other day, it looks like they're finally in sync. They're finally in sync. And I think that's what we're seeing with Joe and the wide receivers both. Man, it was fun seeing D. Williams out there at wide receiver, wasn't it?
What you saw out of Nico in his couple of series, and then a guy like Ethan Davis, knowing that he's one of the guys that can step up in that room that has some guys graduating after this year. How big was it to get him some run and get him a couple of catches?
Yeah, just the way the the season's unfolded, we haven't had a lot of opportunities for some guys that are a little bit down our depth chart or not starting to get some of that action. Nico went out. I thought he handled all parts of the game really well for the most part. There's a couple of learning opportunities for him. I thought he was timely using his feet, accurate with the football for the most part. There's a couple of things that he would want back. Really solid performance from him. Ethan Davis did a really nice job in the middle of the football field when he got the opportunity. Couple of things just in communication that he can clean up, but as a young guy, kind of anticipate some of that happening, but feel really good about the performance that he had in the run game and in the pass game too.
Adam, then Eric.
Nathan Laycock did get in the game. I was wondering that too, Nelson, because I didn't see him out there, but I was looking at the PFF grades, and Nathan Laycock played 7 plays, graded out at a 56. So I wonder if he was out there maybe when Navy Schuler was in the game. Wide receivers, they played Ramel Keaton, Dante Thornton, Squirrel White, Chaz Nimrod, Michael Bittner, Jack Jancic played 12 snaps. Caleb Webb, D. Williams, Dayton Sneed, Jackson Locke, Garrett Young, Nathan Laycock, Trey Weary, and Nathan Roberts. So they ran a lot of guys, man. I would love to know if everybody that dressed out played. Would not surprise me at all if everybody that dressed out on Saturday got into the game. They played everybody at every position. But, man, Nico, I know he's talking about Nico there. Didn't play perfect, made a couple of mistakes. I love the touchdown that Nico threw. The first guy to greet him on the sideline was Joe Milton. Man, you cannot, like the culture, the relationship, the family dynamic. I mean, you got a kid that's getting paid $8 million, and he's a 5-star. He's the number 1 player in the country. He's an absolute stud. He knows he's a stud. We know he's a stud. Some people doubt it. He's not ready. Nico's not ready. Is he not, or is he? But then you got a 6-year quarterback, Joe Milton, and you're rolling him out there, and the fan base is kind of divided a little bit on it. We're arguing, would we be better off with Nico in? Joe's not playing bad enough to be benched, but we know what we got on the bench. Backup quarterback's always the sexiest position. All this drama. But Nico has Joe's back, and Joe's got Nico's back. Man, that is what Josh Heupel has built in this locker room. Maybe Josh Heupel knows a little bit more about the situation than we know. I think Josh Heupel knows a little bit, just maybe a little bit, about playing the quarterback position at an elite level. Maybe just a touch. Maybe just a little bit. Not sure. But I think he probably knows a little something about playing quarterback at the elite level. Got 211 people watching live on this Monday morning. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Go make that push for Cainer, man. Cainer's really pushing for 10,000 subscribers. If you're not subscribed to Locked On Vols, go check it out. Go subscribe to Cainer and what he's doing. Our crossover has been so much fun, man. I wanted to get together and catch up with Cainer down there at the game on Saturday. Wasn't able to do it. We were right in the middle of watching the band march in when he came down to film the 2-minute drill. But the relationship that we formed, man, going back and forth on each other's platforms and just conversations off air, talking ball, talking life, man. It's been a great ride with Cainer. We're going to continue it on into next season. Maybe do some stuff in the off season. You know, once spring camp gets here, that crossover is not going anywhere. But go show Cainer some love, give him a sub. Like he said, man, word of mouth. You know, if you guys dig the show and you have people around you that are Tennessee football fans, man, tell them about it. Tell them about Talkin VAWLS. Tell them to come check it out. Tell them what it is, that it's not some big media platform and a bunch of dudes sitting around in suits and ties talking at you. It's a bunch of diehard, passionate Tennessee fans. Tell them about Talkin VAWLS. Say, man, come check out this YouTube channel. That's how we get to 25,000. We need you guys to help us make that push. If you see a tweet that says we're going live, don't just say, oh, yeah, man, I'm going to go check out Boogie. Freaking hit that heart and hit that retweet every single time. That's how we grow. We need you guys to help share the message of Talkin VAWLS. If it's on Facebook, hit the thumbs up. That takes you 2 seconds. Don't just say, oh, I'm clicking the link to go see what Boogie said. Hit the dang thumbs up, whether it's in a group, whether it's from the Talkin VAWLS account. It's all a numbers game, man. It is a numbers game and catching the algorithm and all this craziness. But that's how we continue to grow this thing, is through you guys. So help us out. Share it out. Retweet it. All that good stuff. I would appreciate it. Sales pitch over. Let's hear more from Josh Heupel.
Josh, it's not a given that a quarterback will play his best ball later in the season. Joe's doing that right now. Is there anything about his makeup that you envisioned him playing better late in the year?
He's still a young starter within our system. He's been here. He's had opportunities at the end of games, but he was still new and as a starter. And there's a lot of new pieces and moving pieces around him. And good teams continue to grow and get better. This team, you guys know I've said, I like the way they prepare. I like the way they practice. We've continued to grow. And because of that, in his effort, he's continued to grow too, but the guys around him. So that's why, the efficiency here the last few weeks have been really solid.
Joe's got to keep it going, man. Joe's got to keep it going. Again, Coach Heupel knows what he's doing. He knows a little something about quarterback. He gets paid millions of dollars to make these decisions. I don't like the excuse that Joe is a young starter in this system. Joe had an opportunity to start. 2 years ago, and he lost the job. Joe has been in this system long enough to know it. He should know all the ins, all the outs. He should know everything about everything there is to know about this offense. He should know it. I don't care that he's a young starter. He's got plenty of experience, plenty of time in the system. That's a cop-out. That's an excuse. Joe's inconsistent. To me, that's the problem. Not that, oh, yeah, he's getting better as the year goes on because he's learning the offense. He's got to continue to be consistent, continue to make plays, and if he's not, we're going to struggle on Saturday. We're not jumping ahead to Georgia. We're not going to talk about Georgia yet. Nate Pruitt's here. What's up, buddy? Appreciate the $5 super chat. Says Dorothy Boogie. Sorry I'm late. Absolutely love the pocket presence that Nico had. Man was pretty swift-footed except for the toddler run fall. Yeah, my wife looked at me after that and goes, did he just trip over his own 2 feet? I was like, no, I think he was getting down to avoid pressure. Then I watched the replay, and I was like, oh, yeah, wow, he tripped over his own 2 feet. Future is bright with Nico, man. The future is bright next year. And again, you know, the fact that he was an early enrollee. So he's going to be in this system almost a year and a half. Almost really getting close to 2 years at that point. Nico's going to know this system. Nico is going to be ready to roll. Next year is going to be exciting. And you know, you got to maintain this roster, right? What does this roster look like next year? That is the number one question. I have no idea what this roster is going to look like. There are so many guys on this offensive line, so many guys on the defensive line, so many guys that have that COVID year. Do they want to come back and play another year? Keenan Peely is a guy that a lot of people are talking about could possibly come back. The guy's like 42 years old. He can come back and play another year. He would have to, get an approval because of like a medical red shirt, but that is an option. Keenan Peely could be back on this football team next year. How big would that be? How big would it be to have Keenan Peely, that veteran leadership? We got some studs in that linebacker room, and they're getting a lot of run. They are getting a lot of experience, and they're only going to be better next year. But Arian Carter, T. Lander, Elijah Herring, all those guys are going to be back next year, and they're going to be, they have that in-game experience. But I think having that veteran leader in Keenan Peely, if he chooses to come back next year, is going to be huge. But you've got the quarterback. How many times as Tennessee fans have we gone into a season questioning what type of quarterback player are we going to get? We know we have a quarterback. I think everybody's in agreement now. And I know it was Connecticut, and I know it was 2 series, but Nico just showed us what we already knew. He showed us what we saw in high school. He showed us what we saw in 7-on-7s. He showed us what we've seen in the spring game. Now he's doing it against Connecticut, and I think he's going to be able to do it against Florida and Alabama and Georgia. Nico is who we thought he is, thought he was, thought he could be. Grammar. We got the quarterback. What does the football team look like around him? What's the wide receiver position look like? Does Brew McCoy come back? Does Brew McCoy test the waters, look to go to the draft, or does Brew McCoy come back? Tight end position is going to be interesting. Obviously, I'm excited about Ethan Davis. Ethan Davis is going to be a stud. Nico to Ethan Davis is going to be something we say a lot. Are they going to have to go to the portal and find a tight end? I don't know what this roster is going to look like next year, but I know we got a quarterback.
You scored 3 touchdowns defensively. I know you need to go back and watch tape. What led to some of those turnovers and then getting in the end zone?
Matching out things on the back end, applying pressure on the front end, recognizing the route, driving on it. Tyler Barron's, I can't remember exactly how that unfolded, but he does a nice job scooping it and finally getting into the end zone. He's been close a couple times. So.
Casey? Those 2 pick sixes to open up the second half, it seemed like the Vols were just having fun at that point. What does that do for a ball game when they're able to just kind of have a lightness about them and enjoy it?
It changes the way the second half unfolds, the opportunity for us to get a lot of our younger guys in the football game early in the third quarter. With what they were doing offensively, draining the clock, there wasn't a lot of opportunities as the game unfolded late to get to get your roster in the football game. And at the end of it, we have an opportunity for guys that have very limited opportunities on the game field to get in there, and you want that for those guys. Those guys work 365 days out of the year too. It was fun to see those guys go out and play really well and finish the game out the right way.
Emmanuel Okoye did not play. He did not play. And, man, I said it when Okoye committed, right? Like, don't expect him. Like, he is an athletic freak. He ain't coming here to make an impact in year one. And numerous people argued with me, oh, he's gonna get out there and make play. No, he's not. He is raw. He's athletic, but he's raw. He's not played a whole lot of football. I don't even know if he was dressed out on Saturday. I wouldn't even be surprised if he wasn't dressed on Saturday. Jonathan Eccles, is he going to come in and contribute right out of the gate? I don't know. Good morning, Russell. Good to see you in the chat, brother. Man, it was exciting talking about the young guys. It was fun to see Navy Schuler. That was fun for me. And I talked about this last night, but, man, you know, sometimes I forget how much of a legend Heath Schuler was. Man, for people my age, Heath Schuler was it. He was a legend. I talk about how I love Andy Kelly, and I do. That was the first, you know, Tennessee quarterback that I really fell in love with. But, man, Heath Schuler was that guy. And seeing his son out there with that number 21 on, Schuler on the back of the jersey, running around, scrambling around, making plays, and Dad's on the sideline grinning ear to ear. That was fun. That was a lot of fun. Gaston Moore, too, man. Gaston Moore works his tail off. Gaston Moore chose to come here, chose Josh Heupel, chose Tennessee. It was good to see Gaston Moore get his opportunity. I would have still liked to see Nico for one more series, though. That's selfishly.
Patrick, Jalen gets another long touchdown run where he has the extra gear to pull with him. Just for a guy that came in when you got here, just to watch his growth, how much fun is it to see him play like he has?
Yeah, he's had huge long runs, but they've come because of the growth of him as a football player. It's not just, you know, running toss on the outside and running around everybody. He understands how to press things, understands, you know, how the fit, the read, you know, bounce it when he needs to, staying vertical. That one hit right up the pipe. It's fun to watch a guy become a dynamic football player and understand how to play the game.
Mike?
Yeah, Josh, you referenced learning opportunities for Nico. What were the couple of things you're talking about?
It's a couple things in communication, and then fundamentally, just where his body was at, you know, one of the throws. But, man, I thought did a really good job.
Earlier in the year, you said redshirting wasn't the plan. Is that now a possibility with the way the season
Man, you know what I mean, just uniquely how the season's unfolded, and so we'll see what comes. You know what I mean? Every weekend's an adventure.
So funny because people like to argue about that too, talking about Nico and the red shirt. Oh, they're going to redshirt him. They're going to redshirt him. That was never the intent. The plan was never to redshirt Nico. Now, if he doesn't get in 4 games, guess what? They're going to slap a red shirt on him because why not? Why wouldn't you? He'll be a redshirt freshman. That was never the plan. That was never the intent, and nobody is expecting Nico to be here past 3 years. There's a reason why his NIL deal was for 3 seasons because that's how confident they are that he's that dude, and he's going to play 3 years, and he's going to go off to the NFL. That's the plan. That's the goal. That's the vision. Now, does that happen? I don't know. I think it will. So it doesn't matter if they redshirt Nico or don't. It has zero impact. Zero impact. So it's all just whether or not he gets in 4 games. If he can get in, look, if they blow out Missouri and he can get in, he'll get in. They blow out Vanderbilt, he can get in, he'll get in. They blow out Georgia. I can't even say that out loud. He'll get in. That's not the plan. The plan is not to redshirt Nico in any way, shape, or form. But if he doesn't play in 4 games, guess what? He'll be a redshirt freshman as the starter next year. And that's okay. It doesn't matter. Zero impact.
Vince in the back right.
Why was today the day to play D. Williams on offense, and what did you think of the plays he was in there?
Yeah, I'd planned on playing him last week too, just the way things unfolded, some of the structure stuff. Weren't prepared to get him in the game in the situations that we were in. He's continued to grow and has a real grasp of a lot of what we're doing offensively. So the opportunity was, you know, there this week to play him and anticipate doing that forward too.
Interesting. Matt Mars for 5. Appreciate the super chat, brother. So I saw a crazy stat yesterday. Both Wright and Small are under 1,000 yards away from being the all-time leading rushers for UT. That's the Coach Josh Heupel effect. You know, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. Be interesting to see where Jabari Small's at right now. But if he stays on track, on pace to what he's done throughout his career, he's going to need like 700 and some yards if he chooses to come back next year. I think Jalen Wright's gone. I think Jalen Wright's going to be off to the NFL next year. You're going to have Jabari Small, Dylan Sampson, Cam Seldon. That's going to be your 3-headed monster. But you also got to look. I mean, it was me and Coach Jay. I think it was a Friday morning stream. We were kind of joking about it, saying, who do you think of when you think all-time great Tennessee running backs? And we rattled off a bunch of names. And Jabari Small could very well go down as the all-time leading rusher at Tennessee. Now, you got to put a little asterisk beside it because he will have played an extra COVID year. But Jabari Small could end up being the all-time leading rusher at the University of Tennessee. Crazy. I want to see Jalen Wright. I want to see him get that 1,000-yard season, and he's close. He's at 826 yards right now. How insane is it? You got 3 games left on the schedule. You got Missouri, you got Georgia, and you got Vanderbilt. And Jalen Wright is averaging 7.5 yards per carry. Like that is ridiculous, man. That is ridiculous. 7.5 yards a carry. That's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And something that we'll get into and probably talk a little bit about on Wednesday. I think it came up last night on the fan call-in show. You know, me and Cain are talking about Cody Schrader and how he leads the SEC in rushing. That's because they don't really have anybody else. Like he's the guy. He's the guy from Missouri. He has 162 carries on the season. He's averaging 5.7 per carry. The next closest to him outside of Brady Cook is Nathaniel Pete. He has 64 carries. So 162 carries to 64. Jalen Wright's got 110 carries because Jabari Small has 82 and Dylan Sampson has 71. And it sucks from a stats perspective when you want to be like, oh, man, Jalen Wright could have all these numbers if you just fed him the rock over and over and over. But the beautiful thing is when you get into that fourth quarter, Missouri's going to be gassed. They're going to be worn out, and guess what? We saw it against Kentucky. When you needed a drive, you threw Dylan Sampson out there. He had fresh legs, and they couldn't stop him. They could not stop him late in the game because he was fresh, because Jalen Wright and Jabari Small had taken the bulk of the carries. That's what you want in the SEC. I would much rather have a 3-headed monster than just have one stud leading the conference. It's going to play into Tennessee's advantage on Saturday.
You might not like me very much for this question.
Okay, great. That's a great way to start off a question. You don't have to ask her. You know?
More trying to give you a drive-by handshake there at the end of the game and walked off and you looked back and spoke at him. You have any reason as to why that happened?
I don't know what I did on the back end of the handshake, but you know, they got a good football team that's played extremely hard, and they've lost a lot of close ball games. So
that's funny. I don't know what Jim Moore did something. I don't know what happened there at the handshake, but Heupel gave him the eye. Heupel gave him the side eye after that handshake. And I don't know if it's going back to the little scrum before the game when Connecticut was warming up on Tennessee's side of the field and the players got into it a little bit. Heupel was out there. I don't know what happened. But something pissed Heupel off because he gave more of the side eye. I can't remember who it was. It might have been I think it was Tyler Barron when he met with the media after the game, and he's like, "Hey, we don't mind. We'll get chippy. You want to get chippy? We'll get chippy. We ain't got a problem going there." It's kind of like the old quote from the baseball team, Evan Russell. I don't think we got a problem being the villain. I don't think we have a problem with our players, our fan base, our coaches. I don't think we have a problem with whether or not people hate us. We don't freaking care. And I loved hearing Tyler Barron say, "We don't care. You want to get chippy? We'll get chippy. We'll go there. You want to take us into dark waters? We'll go to dark waters. Let's see who comes out."
Wes?
Josh, you said last week that, Joe made all those plays on the run and was one of the better, maybe the best time you've seen a quarterback here since you've been here.
Yeah, in our scramble drill, yeah.
Did a couple more darts out of the pocket today. How's he? Is that just what you're talking about earlier? Some of the growth that he's shown, just for a guy to start doing that.
Yeah, he's got the ability to run the football as you continue to play and grow, understanding spatial awareness, where bodies are at, based on the schemes that you've run with, where their bodies are at, the ability to keep your eyes down the field. But it takes trust and understand that your wide receivers are going to work too, your tight ends, your running backs, that they're going to work when you break contain, that they're not just going to sit where they're at and watch you take off. So the fact that the skill guys are playing at a really high level within that it's why it's unfolded the way that it has the last couple of weeks.
Josh, it looked like you and Joe would talk for a little bit, and Joe would go back and talk to Nico there in the fourth quarter. Do you want him to convey like just confidence and attaboy, or is it schematic instructions?
A couple of things that, I saw, Joe saw, during the course of it, and just help him continue to grow. So Joe's got a great relationship with him. They help each other out, and so opportunity for that.
Anything else for Coach? Thank you. We'll have players shortly.
All right, that's Josh Heupel after the homecoming win over Connecticut. Man, I love these morning shows. Somebody said it the other day. They hit different. The Talkin VAWLS morning shows just hit different. Always enjoy hanging out, talking, interacting with you guys, talking a little Tennessee football with Cainer. The only scheduling change this week is I've got upward basketball evaluations tonight and tomorrow night, so no NCAA stream tomorrow night. We're going to move it to Thursday, though. Make note, we are still going to do it. We're going to make it up. We're going to do it Thursday night instead of Tuesday night. Everything else is business as usual. Probably drop a video tomorrow morning. We'll do the live stream Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern time. I appreciate you guys. Smash the thumbs up on the way out the door. Share it out. Let somebody know about Talkin VAWLS. You guys are the heartbeat of this channel, and I appreciate the way you support it. But I'm out the door. This is the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name is Boogie Bentley. Go Big Orange.
The